like witches at black masses. Evil minds that plot destruction. Sorcerer of death's construction. In the fields of bodies burning. As the war machine keeps turning.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Shaman Sundays. I am your host, Brandon Cooper. Sorry, I'm having some technical difficulties. I had to move my studio around. Can everybody hear me okay? First of all, if you can hear me, hit the thumbs up, please. Also, we're going to do a giveaway on this episode. Hashtag peace. So if you put hashtag peace in the comments, then you will be entered. So hashtag peace for the giveaway at the end of the show. How's everybody doing? Good? Are we good? Are we golden? No sound, Carol. No sound. Okay. But some people can hear me, some people can't. All right. Well, we'll just keep working with it. That's live, guys. It's live. Never mind. My headphones were not plugged in. You know what? It happens. It happens to the best of us, Carol. I am kind of currently working on trying to get my guest in the studio. So let's go ahead and pitch the old Paracon. So I've got the Haunting at the Mill Paracon. It's going to be March 24th through the 26th. Tickets are still on sale. We still have some VIP tickets available. I actually just added a couple more. So please don't hesitate. Get your tickets. Come camp with us. Come hang out. It's going to be a great time. I'm hoping the weather works out. It's going to be springtime. Well, beginning spring here in the South, so I think it's going to be great. We need to light the sage. As always, we're going to light the sage to get rid of all that BS energy from last week, all that crap, whatever. And we're going to start this week off amazing. So we got that going. Let me check on our guests here. Let me see what's happening. So, those of you that participated in that auction that Kira Coffin and Supernatural Inc. were so gracious to host. Thank you guys for tuning into that and contributing. That's going to help us. That's going to help a lot. I'm still trying to see what is going on. Somebody's coming in the back door. You going, brother?
Yep, go.
Thanks, man.
Sure, good time.
All right. I'm saying goodbye to one of my best friends. He came over to help me with the bathroom, and he is heading out. I know we have dead air. I got a bunch of things going on. Anyway, so like I said, those of you that participated in the in that auction, thank you so much. Let me tell you a little bit about tonight's guest. I met tonight's guest a little bit over a year ago. He is a very spiritual individual. He is going to be one of my mentors and teach me a thing or two. He is he's got some amazing ideas on the way the world works, and some truth that that I think a lot of people need to hear. And it's along. Hey, Greg. Hey, everybody. I will. I'll scroll through the comments here shortly, and I will say hey to everybody. Um, but his spiritualism is kind of, I guess, and I'll let him explain more. But it's got some shaman type ideas, some panpsychism ideas. Uh, it's just wonderful, wonderful ideas. He also has a book out. If you can find it, it's called Earth Mind, Spirit Mind. And I don't think you can get it on Amazon. I think you have to look for Kelly. Hello from the UK. I think you have to look for it in like the used online bookstores. But again, Earth Mind, Spirit Mind. And without any further ado, I would like to bring up my guest, Gray Eyes, and we're going to chat. How are you, my friend?
I'm pretty good. I appreciate you bringing me on.
Thank you so much for agreeing to be on the show. You've got a lot of truth that needs to get out there, and we've got a lot to cover. But will you just tell everybody just a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your background?
I grew up in East Tennessee, Johnson City, Tennessee. My father was more or less a Christian mystic. And then about the time I got to be 33 years old, I got into the program, which you're familiar with, 12 Steps, Alcoholics Anonymous, and stuff like that. And
Right.
One day a sponsor of mine sort of tricked me. He said, get you a pair of shorts and a towel. We're going somewhere. And I'd already been invited to this place once before. It was at a place called the Light Center on Highway 9 out of Black Mountain. And there was a guy there named Gary Smallhorse. And he was doing a sweat lodge there. And I went into this, and I got kicked out about the third round of it. And I knew I'd found something I was hunting for all my life. And I just sat outside and cried about it for a little while. But after I found that, and I knew that was something I had to follow. That was about 35 years ago. So that's how a lot of this started.
And you've kind of kept that tradition alive, the sweat lodges, and other ideas that have come from. But from whom have you studied from and learned how to get your center?
Horace took me through the lodges and the Vision Quest and stuff like that. And then my father had raised me like this from birth. And he was extremely psychic individual. He'd worked with Columbia State University people and some people out of NASA, try to help them get information across from the other side, and scared the hell out of a lot of them. But it was just something I was raised with all my life. It wasn't something I had to cultivate. It's, as soon as I was willing to put something into it, it started showing up, knocking on my door and showing me things.
Right.
And then as I learned stuff, it was like I tapped into this inner knowing, which we all have, and I know we all have it. And then later on, when I came up with these ideas, like when I was writing the book, people couldn't stay in the house with me. I had to sit out on the porch. There was like this energy around me, and it was like I was learning and teaching myself at the same time I was writing the stuff. It was just coming in. Then I found out a long time ago, a lot of the stuff that I was being given was ancient knowledge being reborn. A lot of people out there think, we're going to lose these ways. We're going to lose this knowledge. No, it's inside of us. It can't be lost, and it can't be stolen, and it can't be taken away. It just takes a few people willing to go and do the personal work to bring it back from the other side.
And once you start that work, it's not an easy path, but I think it's the right path. a lot of people don't know what it's like to be out in nature, don't know what it's like to be one with nature. I mentioned the term panpsychism when when I first came on, and that is, basically that everything is one conscience. Everything is part of everything else. Um, which is kind of what drew me to when you told me about your book Earth Mind, Spirit Mind, about the duality and non-duality consciousness thoughts.
Mhm.
Can you explain first of all why did you title your book Earth Mind, Spirit Mind, and then we'll get into duality, non-duality.
Uh, why did I title it that?
Mm-hmm.
It's like duality consciousness is the consciousness that we all operate from right now, and it's something we're taught from birth. It's not normal. It's not natural. It's something that was given to us by our ancestors and everybody around us. And when we enter into duality consciousness, it's basically because we can't settle a conflict that we have. When we're born, we see how everybody in the world gets what they want. Our parents teach us these things. We see what our government's doing. We're seeing what local government and everybody else is doing, and we follow suit to get what we want. We do like they do. Well, we have these rules and these laws that are written in our DNA itself, and some of the ancient ones call it blood memory, and the quantum physics are working with it now. And there's also a memory base, which is part of our spirit, our higher self. And when we break these rules to get what it is we want, we have this inner conflict that we're left with. And then we can't settle the inner conflict. And then about the time that we hit puberty, like in this first in
Right.
the teenage years, that's
Yep.
when we have to accept that duality consciousness at that point. That's when we're put to sleep. And the journey, this longing that we're left with in our heart, we try to fill that longing with a mate. We try to fill it with sex. We try to fill it with having things or a bank account and stuff like that. And what we're really hunting for is ourselves. It's that authentic
Right.
self. And that's the only thing that will actually bring us peace, or at least in my opinion, that's the only thing that brought me peace, was making that inward journey of self-discovery. Well, earth mind is of the ego, and it's of duality consciousness, and spirit mind is the unified mind, and quite literally it is bringing both halves of the brain back together through ending the inner conflict. And the non-duality is just a way of thinking. Actually, the Christians don't realize it, but Jesus himself was a non-duality teacher, and a lot of them don't have a clue what that really means.
Right. Oh, so what? I was gonna say this for later, but your theory on the hairy man is, you and I have talked about it, and your theory on what he is and how his brain is structured fascinates me. Would you let the viewers in on your thought process on the hairy man or Sasquatch?
Well, a lot of the ancient natives and stuff, there was a time when we were together. There was a time when we interacted with these beings, and what I think it was is we chose to experience the duality consciousness, and they wanted to stay as they were, unified with nature and the spirit and with everything else. And we chose to do this so that we could experience this and find out that it really doesn't work. And they, from what I understand, they walk between worlds. It's like they can be here walking in the physical world, walk behind a tree, and just disappear.
Right.
The ones I've interacted with and people up on the mountain who have actually had them come and talk to them, they talk like we do with their words and a mouth, and they also talk inside your head telepathically. But while we're learning this, they just choose to stay off into themselves. And it's like our state of consciousness that we're in right now is not natural, and they don't really want anything to do with it.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense, because why would a higher intelligence creature want to get into the madness that we've created for our own benefit, I guess? So what is your first steps in teaching somebody to start getting rid of the forced focus, as I like to call it, of what the world tells us to think. And how would you tell somebody to start, challenging that and getting off from the duality consciousness?
Well, basically, the clearest path that I've found anywhere is the 12 step work. It's the same thing in all belief systems. Frank Foolscrow said to become the hollow bone, you had to sort of like live like he did, start treating people differently, clearing up all this crap that you carry with you. It's working on your hatreds, resentments, your fears, character defects, anything that knocks you out of center in here, anything that creates inner conflict, get rid of it. Learn to think like the spirits do, not like human beings do with our egos. And then as we do that, that frees up these energies and stuff inside of us. And then we start tapping into what the mystics call the knowing. All knowledge of the universe is inside of it. It's always been there. And anybody that's done psychedelics knows this, because if you go out and on some of these psychedelic drugs and stuff, you look at something, you focus on whatever this is that you want to know, and this information, this knowledge just comes to you. But there's a trick with that that's kind of funny. The next day, you pretty much forget most of that.
Right.
And the reason being was that you took a temporary shortcut with a drug or a plant medicine or something like that. The plant medicine or the drug raises your body vibration, and vibration is required to access inner knowing. And then when you come down off of it, you pretty much forget a lot of what you learned. And the reason for that is because you didn't actually earn the right to have that knowledge. But doing the personal work and the clearing work to end the duality consciousness, that's you earning it. And, I do that through going and taking part in ceremony with, how I've been taught and stuff.
Right. Now, would you suggest somebody doing this journey on their own, or would you say that if they have somebody or find somebody who could guide them, especially like for those of us like you had mentioned, and I'm my life's an open book. I was a raging alcoholic, and I worked the 12 steps. And by working the 12 steps, not only did I reach the sobriety one day at a time, but I've also, like Gray Eye said, you start to learn that you instead of going outward, you go inward.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I we were able to do that with a sponsor. But what if somebody, is not part of any 12 step, or they don't need to be? What direction would they need to go to start doing this work?
Doing personal work? Well, there's
Right.
all sorts of self-help books and stuff out there. You don't actually have to be an alcoholic or an addict to do the 12-step work. I mean, it comes in many different forms. They're taking it for, sex addicts, people who are just greedy or whatever. I have a sponsor because there's one thing I came to realize for myself. There's nobody in this world that I lie to more than I lie to myself.
It's true.
And that's why I have a sponsor. And one of the hardest things to get through to people to understand and learn how to check is their own true intent. Why am I doing what I'm doing? And if we're lying to ourselves all the time, how are we going to check that intent so we can move that illness in us out of the way?
Right.
I have an elder with the Native American stuff because I may have a vision, or what I think is a vision or a dream, that tells me to change something or do something in a different way, but if I'm young and I'm just starting out in this, a lot of times it's real hard for me to tell the difference between my spirit, my higher self, and what my ego wants. And I keep that elder around, and I say, here's what I've been told. This is what I feel I need to be doing. Can I have permission to change something that I'm doing in the ceremonies and stuff, to suit the needs of the people better? And so, if I don't have conscious contact to the point that I think I do, I keep that elder around to sort of double check behind me. And basically, I've got 2 or 3 people behind me that help, check me out.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I had to learn, and is like you said, nobody is meaner to me than I am. Nobody lies to me more than I lie to myself. Like, if somebody else were to say the things to me that I say to myself, it would be a huge problem. So, and I think a lot of people struggle with the how do you get out of your own way.
Mhm.
So I think it's, and the 12 steps are great. And like you said, you don't have to be in AA or NA or any of
No.
the other 12 steps. Um, like I tell my kids about uh, the 12 steps,
Mhm.
and we try to, whether they want to work it or not. I said, but it's a whole lot more than just trying to quit something, because you're not quitting something, you're gaining something. And I think that's any type of introspective um, journey is okay. You're going to have to give up something, but in the end, what you get back is even greater. Oh,
Yeah, many times.
yeah, right. Oh, but man, it's a crazy journey. I'm going to try to look real quick in the comments here. And also, if we have any questions for our guests, please feel free to ask in the comments. Um, and we will definitely answer those questions. Um, let's see. We got what is this? Robert said, my youngest son was born in Johnson City, Tennessee. Uh, acoustic coffee house is awesome. At least it was until, okay. So there's a fellow.
I've been kicked out of a few places myself.
That's something that we have in common. I have less than graciously been asked to please leave and never come back.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, but that's okay. Okay, Kathy asked, do you think the guys that made the 12 step? Oh, this is a great question because we were going to get there. We're spiritual. Yeah, and we were going to get there, but let's go ahead and jump into that right now.
I would say hell yeah.
Yeah.
There's one book that one of them put out, which I love dearly, and it was called Pass It On. I don't remember which one did it, Bill or Bob won, but in the end, in the 12 steps, they're talking about conscious contact with something greater than yourself. Me, through doing this personal work and getting involved in ceremony, it took me about 10 years working on myself, and I eventually started hearing voices. And they would give me signs and tell me things that I needed to know about other people to work with them, when I was, in ceremony or working with other people. But Bill and Bob, were they spiritual? Oh, hell yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Not
100%.
Not religious. The one reason I like that, and I like the program work, and program work's not necessary for everybody. Don't get me wrong there. I'm not pushing it. I'm just, you're going to have to search and find out what's in your heart, what path is going to lead you to where you need to go, because every individual is different. I'm just speaking about what worked for me. I was such a great big asshole. It took a lot to put me on my knees, and I put the 12-step work and the ritual, the Native American stuff together, and me doing those two sort of put it on steroids and all. But Bill and Bob, they were both talking to their dead relatives right before they died. They were seeing them, come in and stuff, and they were talking to them as they were on their deathbeds and stuff. And their wives and stuff were actually talking to the spirits that had gone on too. And that was even before death.
And I mean, and you got to think, this is back in the 30s, and the spiritualist movement was pretty big back then.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it wasn't religious either. And I like to put a definition on the spirituality, between spirituality and religion. It's like religion is something that somebody else puts together outside of you and forces it in on you and tells you about it. And spirituality, for me, it's something I developed, and it came from inside of me, and it comes out. It's like I developed conscious contact with something greater than myself from the inside out. And that's the difference. Nobody stands between me and the Creator and tells me anything like that. I go,
exactly.
I use these ceremonies. I use the personal clearing work. I go on the Heal and Vision Quest, or I go to the Sweat Lodge. I need answers and stuff. I sit down, I start doing prayer ties in my way, which is similar to the rosary beads the Catholics use, get you in that meditative state. Then I learn how to shut my mind down. And when I can close that off in that meditative state, or what I call numb brain, then they can give me answers that I seek. But that's what works for me. You know, you're an individual. You're going to have to find some stuff that works just uniquely for you, and that's okay.
Yeah, and and that's why it's called a journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but one thing I have noticed is once you actually get your intent uh, to align with some type of honesty,
Mhm.
and then the universe puts people in your path that will help you along your journey. Whereas on the flip, and you know where I'm going with this, but on the flip side, when you're still out there lying to yourself, the universe is going to put people in your path to help you lie to yourself.
Mhm.
It's going to, so,
Or have your truth.
or help you. Yeah. Yes. And that's kind of, this is how Gray Eyes and I kind of met. I won't tell the whole story, but this is when I was in long-term rehab for my alcoholism, and one thing led to another, and I got invited to a sweat lodge. Uh, who knew in rehab that this would be a thing? And ever since the first time that I met him, I knew that I needed to learn from this man, and it was just funny how it all fell into play, and once you're on that right journey, that's just what happens.
Mhm.
Oh, can you? I know there's a lot of my viewers that have heard of sweat lodges and heard of that one incident where the guy went back to the hotel and people died in his lodge.
Mhm.
Can you explain what a proper sweat lodge is? The best, without or the best you can, so
No,
they can
I
understand.
cannot do that. I'm not a full blood Native American. I'm just another stupid white man. I'm borrowing these ways. I have permission to do what I do from a true, real Lakota elder. His name's Basil Braveheart. That's something, that's a line I won't cross.
Yep.
I know what it means to me, and I can share that story in ceremony and stuff. But to say what all this stuff means and everything about that, publicly like this,
Right.
I don't really feel comfortable about it. And a lot of these guys, uh, I know Basil, when I would ask him questions about certain things, he would look at me and smile and he'd say, "What's it mean to you?" Okay, for me to explain lodge and stuff like this, I can give you a little bit about what happens when you come to my place. Uh, but anything more than that, I really feel uncomfortable with.
Right. Maybe I should rephrase the question. Just like a basic outline of what happens, not so much the ceremony part, or people are just afraid to even approach,
Hmm.
And I get the fear. Maybe if we can explain a little bit of to take the fear away, that you're not going to die.
How the basics of it was explained to me, it's a purification ceremony. It's called the Inipi. You go there and the purification happens on 4 different levels of the body: mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. It can happen in any of those levels, all of them at the same time, or just 1 or 2 of them. Uh, a lot of these guys run these lodges in different ways, and every time you go to one, you're going to have them tell you, do it like this, never change a thing. It's always done just like this, and yet you go from lodge to lodge to lodge, and they're all different.
Right.
So what are they talking about?
Mm.
Okay, this is a lot of how they teach is different than how we learn. Okay, and what I gathered from that was, I have a higher self and I have a subconscious mind, and I need to get its attention so that it can unlock this knowledge to me. So if I go and I do this the same way each and every time, then it knows that I'm actually putting some time into it. I'm giving of myself, and I'm doing something sacred.
Right.
So when it sees the repetition, it sees me doing this year after year in the same way. That's my cue for my higher self and my subconscious to come in and unlock those gates and unlock those doors so I can get the answers that I seek.
Over to the hills of far away, sending all the love. I'm very grateful for this man in my family's life. I believe they're talking about you.
I have no earthly idea who they are.
No,
I didn't see
and
that. I can't see what's being
it
seen.
said the name. It says "Over the Hills and Far Away." I guess is their Facebook or their YouTube name.
I see a real tiny picture.
I know it's kind of hard to see. Well, somebody out there
Is that Lizzie?
has two.
Is okay. Hello, Lizzie.
Oh, there you go. And then we had somebody had asked, is it similar to like I think they asked, is it similar to doing shadow work?
I don't know what people consider shadow work.
Okay, it is. I don't know. It's got so many different definitions, but it's kind of.
I know I'm delving my own darkness very deeply. I know that.
Right. Okay. I don't.
I'm
Carol,
probably one of the world's biggest assholes that has ever been.
Well, when it gets hot, what do? Pray harder.
Oh yeah, that's what the sign outside the lodge says.
It is. And another thing that I wanted to tell people about the sweat lodges, and you see them all over like Facebook and these pay to play type sweat lodges.
I can't do any of that.
I
can't charge. I can't put it on Facebook. I can't advertise it. It's word of mouth only.
So I guess in a roundabout way, I'm saying be careful if you are searching for something out there. If you're watching.
Here's something people need to know out there. If you have somebody and you're going to their lodge, you have the right to ask them where they came from, who are their elders, who taught them. And if something don't feel right, you have the right to walk away.
Mm-hmm. Yes, 100%. Oh, yeah. There's been some years where sweat lodges get a very bad name, and if people would have just, I don't know, I can't speak for everybody, but there was enough red flags that if you would have just looked and watched, they probably would have stayed away from those places.
Well, here's the thing about some of those places, and I didn't really like them in the beginning, and I spoke out a lot against some of them sometimes. But one of the hardest lessons for us to learn is discernment. And sometimes we need to be raked over the coals. The coyote comes in. He's the trickster. The coyote comes in, and we need to be raked over the coals so we can build inner strength of our own to stand up for ourselves and to learn how to follow our heart and follow what Spirit's trying to tell us. I mean, when I've gone to a place where I shouldn't been, there's always been this niggling deep down inside of me saying, hey, pay attention or get out. And I didn't listen.
Yep.
And I think the Creator puts all of it here for us. And it's up to us to go and find out what doesn't work for ourselves. And I don't think the Creator wants weak people coming back home when this life is done. I think the Creator wants us all a little bit stronger, a little bit more connected, and a whole lot happier.
That last part hits home 100% because to be happy you have to be strong to be truly happy, because to get there you're gonna have to go through some dirt and some darkness, and because unfortunately I think we're all born with it, we're surrounded by it. And it's so easy to get tipped over to one side or the other that you have to struggle to be happy. And you know what? That's a good thing, because if you get it and you didn't work for it, then what good is it?
Yeah. I tell people learn to love the AFGI. And AFGI is an anagram. It stands for another fucking growth experience.
Exactly. Yeah, let's talk spirit animals. I've had a lot of people ask me, about spirit animals and how do you figure out your spirit animal, and what do you go through? What is your opinion on how people discover their main spirit animal?
Well, it's always around you. What's always bringing you messages? What's always showing up? You know, it could be in dream times, or it could be in real life, or it could be people bringing you what we call medicine, like a part of an animal. You know, what's always around.
And apparently my producer has loved your anagram and has put it down here. I believe that that's going to be a thing now on the show. So I love it. Yeah, and I've tried to tell people, like, you know, people are like, I don't know what my spirit animal is, but they just got done telling me, you know, every day I see a hawk, or, you know, every day I see something, but I don't have a spirit animal. Okay, really?
More than one.
Right. Right. Oh,
Most people, more than one. Takes time to see these totems and stuff.
working with plant medicine.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried to describe what I've been taught about it, about how the plant tells you what to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Have you had any experiences with that, where the plant says, "Hey, I'm right here"? Or what was it that we were talking about when we had lunch? When you got uh, your, what was it? The medicine where you kept smelling that smell. Um,
Oh, that I used in the lodge?
right.
Yeah. It was a medicine that a lot of people use. I was supposed to be using it in the lodge, but I didn't have it. And the spirits would bring it in and put it on the stones, and everybody in there could smell it. And it took me years to figure out, a few years to figure out what it was.
Yeah,
So,
it's
and
funny.
well, Carl, you don't know Carl yet. He lives on the mountain with me. He used to tend fire there for a long time, and he went to Sundance and got permission to pour too. And he was like, how am I going to find out what I'm supposed to be using in the lodge? And I said, well, Carl, they'll show you, they'll tell you, and stuff like that. And we smelt. He was pouring the lodge one night, and we smelt this smell, and everybody in there could smell it. It was really strong. I knew exactly what it was. You know, it's something I'm not supposed to use because I was told not to.
Right.
But Carl has a thing in his lodge where he speaks on truth, and he has this little story that he uses with it. Well, there's this one medicine, it's called truth medicine. It's we smelled it in the lodge, and then his wife or girlfriend wasn't with us in the lodge, but she was at the house up on the mountain, and she was smelling the same thing. The house, it was full of it. I just smiled and I said, well, that's answer to your question right there. They've given you one thing to use right there, and said it's
Right.
something I can't use. And it was a little while later I told him what it was and showed him how to get it and where to get it at.
Yeah, it's just kind of it's funny how it's the subtle things when spirit's talking to you.
Mhm.
It's not going to smack you upside the head. You know, you gotta work for everything that you get from spirit, in my opinion.
Now, what's the one thing that will scare the hell out of you more than anything else?
Oh, what's that?
The truth about yourself.
Oh, and yes, that's the darkness that nobody wants to face.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it's part of the journey.
Yeah.
When I started having to face uh, my own personal demons, and then, you know, the step 9 and all that, the dreaded steps, I was terrified. I was. You know, anytime you look inward and you look at how dirty and filthy you truly are, and how you lie, like I've lied to myself, it was horrible. But now when I look back on it, I draw more spiritual strength and gain knowledge gaining from looking back and saying I was this person, and
Mm-hmm.
through trials, tribulations, and working hard, now I'm this person. Oh, so yeah, but yeah, you're right. It scares the hell out of me, but
Mm-hmm.
it's, you know, it's an important part. Let's see. You know, I've also had. There's that big debate. We're going to talk about medicine wheels. We're not going to get into specifics, but There's been a large debate about what a medicine wheel is. Um, can you, in like a broad definition of, can you explain like what a medicine wheel is, or how some people use them, to maybe clarify for some of the viewers?
Yes and no. I don't have a medicine wheel in my place. I use the lodge, but in the lodge is incorporated a wheel. The lodge has 4 rounds, right?
Yep.
Okay, first round at my place is to the west, and that's the place of the bear. And there's 3 aspects in that wheel on that particular thing: it's strength, power, and wisdom. Where do I have those 3 aspects in my life? Where do I not have them? And bear at that lodge that I work is a healer. Okay, and so we invite that medicine in, that animal in, and the spirits that go with it in to come and look down inside of us and see what it is that we need to heal down inside of us, so that we can get it out of ourselves, so that we can awaken. Okay, and when I'm working that wheel and I'm working in that lodge, for me it's also an invitation round for the spirits. So we invite them in with our prayers, and then we move around to the north for the second round. And at my place, it's the place of the White Buffalo, or the Calf Maiden. It's renewal, new beginnings, and such. And one of the energies that I deal with in that, and it's the round where you put out your prayers. What is it you want? What is it you expect to get out of that particular ceremony? But the energy in it is also, if I'm going to get something from them, what am I willing to let go of? So I look down inside myself when I'm in that north place, and I say, well, what can I let go of that no longer serves the greater good of myself or the greater good of others? And so I get willing to let go of that. And you may have feelings and emotions and stuff come up inside of you that you thought you dealt with a long time ago. But like with when you're working the 12-step work, you work through something and you let go of it and you grow. Well, now I can see it in a different light. I can see it at a deeper level. So I may have to rework that thing again, because now I've grown. Now I can comprehend more, and now I can see something at a spiritual level I didn't see before. And so I'll rework all that drama and trauma again.
Right.
At that point. And so I'll bring that up, and I'll tell people, when these things come up, don't shut them back down. Don't run from them. Don't fear them. Feel them until they're gone. And it's only through feeling these emotions and feelings until they're gone that you release them. Otherwise, you store them back down in your body. And then we'll move around to the east, and my place is the eagle, and clarity, vision, and understanding are the 3 aspects in the east place. And when we go there, it's like a meditation round. It's like, okay, you've asked for them to come in and work with healing you. You've let go of something. You put your prayer out. Now it's time to get your answers. Now there's by the 3rd and the 4th round, there's a thing I've talked about before, and you've heard me talk about it, called membrane.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the heat and steam is designed to the point to get you to let go. At least it is at my place. I can't speak for other people and how they do things. You reach that point of total surrender and letting go, and then that ceremony, the heat, and everything, it works together to get you in this place where you shut off that grocery list that's going on in your head. Who did I please? Who did I not please? What do I need to do tomorrow? What did I forget to do at the house? How in the world can you expect to get any answers from the other side when you got all this crap going on in your ears? When are you ever going to shut up? That's how I teach people how to meditate, is I take them in lodge and I just flat out cook them.
Yes. Yes, you do.
Well, it's not always necessary to get people to extremes, heats and stuff like that. All of our elders are calling for us not to do that so much anymore. They said, rely upon the energies, rely upon the spirits and the medicine to do the work. And that's what I've been told to do, pretty much. But, if you'll trust it, it'll work. And then once you can shut up that internal dialogue that you got going on, then they can get through and tell you something. And if you get your ego out of the way, chances are you're going to hear what's being said and not what you want to hear. And there's a big difference with that. And it takes a long time to learn that sometimes.
Yes. And I'm still in that new learning process of, get out of your own damn way. Sometimes it's the hardest thing to do. But I wish you'd have got that information about turning the heat down, about a year ago. I'm just, putting that out there.
Some of us are dead.
But it's the sign outside the lodge. It pray harder. Oh, it's hot. Pray harder, and it works. It does.
I've been in these lodges. If everybody in there can reach that point of surrender down in here and let go, you can't feel anything. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, I've got people on there slapping their chest wanting more and more and more and more. And it's like, if everybody in there lets go, the heat just disappears. It's gone. And if there's 1 or 2 or 3 people in there just holding on to something they don't want to let go of, we're in there together. We all suffer, all together.
Yep.
And it's hard to believe that we can bond like that in that little space, But and then we're all bonded together for quite a while. North Carolina.
Yep.
Well, no, I was born in Tennessee.
But yeah, Greg, he's right up the road in North Carolina from me. Yeah. Yes, can you shut? What'd you say, Kathy? Yes, I can't shut my mind off to listen.
Well, then you go find a tool. Lodge is extremely good for that.
Yeah, cause, I mean, if I was just left to my own devices, Kathy, I wouldn't shut up and listen. And he's right. You got to find something. Carol says, when the body heats up naturally during meditation, what does that mean? Should you just let it happen or try to stop it?
It sounds to me like Kundalini rising. Anytime what some call snake powers comes up the spine, or the Kundalini energy, it'll bring up a lot of heat. And the heat is due to the resistance that it's finding. So pay attention, let it happen, and pay attention to the emotions and the feelings that you're having when it happens. And then feel them until they're gone. It doesn't matter what they are.
Let's see. I'm just kind of scrolling through in case I have missed any questions. Tabitha says, Raven, hawk, deer, and fox have come in heavy lately in dreams. Bees and white cobras. That's interesting. I can't help you with that one. I'm still learning myself, but listen to the spirits that come in. Even if they're not your this is just my opinion. Even if they're not your permanent spirit animal or your spirit helper, all animals come in spirit to help you one way or another. Now, you can correct me if I'm wrong on that one, but.
Well, like with me, I've got hummingbird. I don't have many high flyers. The only flyer I've got is hummingbird, but it brings joy. That's the medicine of the hummingbird is joy. Wolf is teacher pathfinder. Otter's like a female medicine. It helps me work with females without them feeling being threatened by me like they would some other males. It's just a relationship you develop with animals that come. I mean, we've opened the flap in that lodge before, and 8-point buck stuck its head in there and looked at all of us. Or another time we open the flap and there's a bear sitting by the fire. When does a bear sit by a fire?
Right.
When? Well, that's that. When that happens, that's that animal bringing medicine to what you're doing. It wasn't necessarily to me, but it was to that lodge. So and the deer is gentle love. And the bear is a healer. So it's probably, according to me, it's probably one of the most powerful healers there are, other than what you call the hairy man.
Yeah. Yeah. Now has let me just figure out how to word this. Do you know if the hairy man has ever been called for his medicine to a lodge that you know of? I mean, is that a practice or is that just something that you luck out if they bring it?
I don't call them. They just come when they're needed. I'm a white man. I just, I facilitate. I put things together. Something comes, then we deal with it and we figure out what its purpose is, if we can. And sometimes it just comes and we don't know. Something happens to somebody that for their own good.
Oh, and there's a. I just drew a blank. There was a question I was going to ask you.
Probably not supposed to then.
Yeah, you know what? You're probably right. So we'll just move on. Wow. I usually don't draw a blank like that.
You want to move on to the South Place now?
Yes, let's do. Thank you very much. Yes, let's do that.
Okay. In the lodge, we go to the South Place. At my place, there's two totems there. One's the wolf and one's the coyote. And I sort of bring in both those. The wolf is like a teacher that comes in, and the South Place aspects are youth, trust, and innocence. But when people leave that lodge there, they're dealing with emotions and feelings that are coming up, and I want these two to walk with the people to help them. The wolf is for people going after their spiritual lessons straight up, like they're going after it like we do in doing 12-step work or going to ceremony all the time. We're going for it just as hard as we can, any way we can to make ourselves better. Well, the coyote's the trickster, and that's the teacher that you get when you have to learn your lessons the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
You may have to follow through the briar patch in the mud or over the cliff, but that's the thing about spirit. If you ask to learn, you ask to grow, you need to be careful about that because you're going to get exactly what it is it takes to get through to your ego, and put you where you need to be so you can surrender. And you've experienced that like I have.
Right.
For some of us, the letting go is a horrendous thing. And in our culture, we're taught never to let go, never surrender. And especially since you're military,
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's one thing. You never give up, you never let go, you never surrender. But if you want answers from the spirit world, that's the first thing you've got to do. You've got to let go and get yourself out of the way. And for many of us, it's just, we sit there in confusion, like, how in the hell did I do this? Because we've been taught the other way our whole lives.
And
that's when spirit work get real fun.
Right. Real fun, real quick.
Uh-huh.
Oh. So, just to kind of lighten the mood a little bit, I've had some people. I have mentioned the little people that live in the mountains around us.
Mm-hmm.
And, people ask, well, what are the little people? And I say this jokingly, but now I can say it because now the story can kind of come out. But I tell them that, well, little people love M&Ms. And,
well, not necessarily. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
But I always say that. And now there's a reason why. Because that you gave out the M&Ms that one time, and
well, I do that every time just to gather around. It's like an offering. Anything that we like, anything we eat, anything we take part in, we give to them also. And I put those things out to draw them in, for the people. And playing the drum and singing the songs draws things in. Starting that fire draws things in. It's basically we facilitate, we keep a sacred circle, and then we get the people in a good state of mind. Notice how we sit and we do prayer ties before we go in.
Yep.
That was something my elders told me to have the people do, and it's a certain number and a certain color.
Right.
And you'll notice when you're doing that, you're sitting there doing that, you feel this shift in your consciousness and your awareness. And it's like doing that sacred thing helps get you in a good state before I actually get you in the lodge. It's just sort of like breaking the ice or getting you ready.
Well, and and I enjoyed that part of it because sitting around the table with all the other participants that are going to go through ceremony, and we're sitting together, and nobody's really talking. You can feel the focus and the energy going into what they're doing.
Mhm.
And it is it's a paradigm shift in the feeling. Everybody is kind of nervous or hyped up or whatever when they get to the mountain, and then it just shifts to that. I tell people that's when the peace starts slowly drifting in, and it just continues, or at least for me. But yeah, that was something new to me when I came up to the mountain, and that's a very uh, peaceful beginning to a wonderful ending.
Yeah.
Because it starts out we're all quiet, and then at the end of the ceremony, we all break bread together and sit down, and then some of the
Yeah.
stories.
Feast is part
It's
of
yeah.
Tell Greg, yes, there are lodges in Illinois.
Yes, Greg, and if you were interested, maybe I don't know, we can talk offline.
Uh, let's see. Tell him to look up Steve McCullough online.
Okay, Greg, you got that Steve McCullough, and then I'll remind you when we get off here. Yeah, please, if you have any questions, please come up. I am very honored that Gray Eyes uh, accepted the invite to come on. I was kind of nervous when I asked. I didn't know if you would be interested in coming on and sharing this. So this is a very special treat. So please take advantage and ask. Also, let me remind you that we are doing a giveaway at the end. We'll do a little raffle. Put hashtag peace in the hashtag peace in the comments, and at the end we will raffle. You know what? I think this time I'm going to give a sage bundle out. I don't know why I feel led to do that, but I'm going to give a sage and some fresh Palo Santo. Uh, I believe that'll be my giveaway this evening. So hashtag peace, just put it up there, and you will be entered into the drawing. um, I'm trying to think. Oh, where can they find? I know that you have a series of YouTube um, uh, messages or teaching classes.
Mhm.
Where can they find you, and what are what are you teaching? I've seen it, I know, but
You look up Paul Jones and then type in duality and non-duality consciousness. There's about 12 videos, and what that's concerned about the book. It's concerned about the vision that I got through following these ways, and it has to do with my name, Gray Eyes, and how I got that name. That's basically what that's about. So.
And I mean, just so you guys that have just tuned in, Earth Mind Spirit Mind is the book. You can find it on. I just typed in Earth Mind Spirit Mind, and it popped up on a used bookstore online. Boom, got it. It is a very deep book. It's not one of your easy reading, relaxing, sit back books. It's a deep read, and I recommend it. It is on my recommended list. um. So now that you've gotten to where you are, what's next? Where do you go? What do you seek?
Just to be of service to others. That's it. At this point, so the hardest thing for me to find was vision and purpose in life. And when I got the name Gray Eyes, that was me finding my vision and purpose. And I found that because of, doing the personal work in the 12 steps. But then I ran into the Native American stuff with Gary Smallhorse, and he put me out on what we call Amblecha or Vision Quest. And I got a name and a vision that came with it. And that book is that. And it's the understanding of non-duality consciousness. And that name, Gray Eyes, I actually sort of knew about it when I was 14 years old.
Huh.
Well, it's my dad. He was telling me things about the potential of the human being and what we could do. Like we could grow other body parts and stuff. He knew people that had grown extra teeth after they had them all pulled out. Uh, how you could change the color of your eyes and stuff like that. And I thought, well, I want to change the color of my eyes. I want gray eyes. And I tried that for a long time, and later on, I went out and I got messed up and I got into the alcohol and the drugs. And then when I started getting straight, I ran into a horse at the light center and stuff, and he put me out on the hill. Well, I'd totally forgotten all about this,
Right.
about the color of my eyes and stuff like that. And I went out on the hill, and my vision, there was a spirit that came along and asked me for my driver's license. And so I gave it my driver's license, and it looked at my driver's license. It looked at me, and it put my driver's license in its wallet, stuck it in its back pocket, smiled at me, and took off walking. And then it got part of the way down the trail, and I looked, and it just smiled real big, and everything disappeared except for these gray eyes. That was my name, Gray Eyes, Ishtahote. And well, it took 7 years for all that to unfold into what it actually meant. And then I had remembered about my dad and I telling me that about changing my eye color and stuff. So at 14, 15, 16 years old, I pulled out gray eyes. Where did that come from?
Right.
I was already playing with that idea and that concept in my mind. And I had done a lot of psychedelics and stuff when I was younger. And the psychedelics, I would bring back one-liners from the journey. I had a lot of knowledge I was getting, but every time I would get straight, I would forget it all. And I didn't realize, what I was doing. I hadn't earned it, but I brought back the one-liners. And one of the one-liners was, if I wanted to be out of this world and work my way out of this world, I had to turn myself inside out. I thought for years, well, what the hell does that mean? I know it's the truth, but what's it mean? And then when I finally got this medicine of gray eyes came to me, I started to understand it. I realized it was an inner journey of self-discovery that I had to make to find authentic self. And that's how I escaped this world that they've created for me to live in.
Right.
So everybody out there has a vision and a purpose for their life. Well, mine, I'd done some things when I was 18 years old, and I pretty much destroyed relationships in my life through the wreckage that the addiction can bring about,
Right.
and stuff like that. But that wreckage, I could never fix it, and I could never heal it up. So, and then when I started doing these lodges for you guys, in the program, and other people who were starting to awaken and stuff like that, when I did that, I felt this peace right here in my heart. As when I'm in service to you, I get peace from that situation. So that situation really wasn't a tragedy in my life. It was sort of like the fuel to drive me through for my vision and purpose to do what I'm doing today. So what am I going to do? What's next for me? It's just being of service to others. That's it.
And day to day, people are running around looking for their purpose. They need that next promotion. They need that new car. They need that big house. And once you start doing the journey on the inside, it's kind of funny how simple the answer really is of what is my purpose and what makes me happy.
Mhm.
It's not all that crap out there. It's like, and like you say, I love giving back. I love helping. That's one of the reasons why I started this show.
Mhm. And
Oh,
it's ready to take a direction you never even dreamed of.
I mean, yes, it has.
Still yet to come.
That's what you say.
Mm-hmm.
And I, of course, I trust you, and I know you're right. But it's the excitement of the unknown when when the intentions and the vibrations are on the positive side. It's like waiting on the good roller coaster. You're all aflutter and you're excited, but whatever's on that next side is going to be even better than what you've already got. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Don't forget to enjoy where you're at right now, though.
Yeah, that is, I, well, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but yeah, I do need to slow down, and I try to do too much, but yeah, I have a feeling that you're gonna get that out of me at some point, but that's okay. That's why I reached out, and I'm honored to know that I'll be able to learn from you, and um, because if you don't learn something every day, you might as well be dead.
Hmm.
You know, and that's especially learning from people who you just like. You can just get a sense of people, and you have something that I need, or else we would not be. We wouldn't have met. We wouldn't be talking right now. There's something, and other people out there that you need to look for that too. There's people that come in your life that you may not realize it, but maybe there's something that they have that they need to give you, or you need to give them, or something you can both learn from each other. So don't, always look at your surroundings and see what's happening out there. There's always somebody that'll give you something. And I see that we got a couple of, do we have any questions? Love is the Tabitha said, we're not even going to do intermission, Godfather. We're just going to roll with it. Tabitha says, love is the answer. Carol says, stop and smell the roses. There's a lot to be said about that. Or stop and smell the sage. So, at the end of the day, if it's just you, okay, and because the biggest thing that I used to have a problem with is being alone with myself.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, like, what is your gratitude? I mean, everybody needs a gratitude. If it's just you by yourself, what is the one thing that you think that everybody shares in this single consciousness that we should all think about and be grateful for?
The one thing?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, there's more.
What about everything? Well, what's the last round of the lodge at my place? It's a gratitude round.
Yep.
What are you grateful for? We spend all of our lives reaching out to spirit, cussing and praying and hollering and screaming. What about me? What about this? What can you do for me? But how many of us take the time just to take a few minutes, an hour, half an hour every so often and express the gratitude for what we already have? That's one thing when I was dealing with Horse, and I was learning these ways in the beginning. He was in the military, in a SEAL, all that, and he would take us on earth skills. And we would go out and we would stay and we would do things out in the woods. And it was like, after we spent a few days out there, we didn't want to come back. And we had nothing with us except a knife and a blanket. And we had everything we needed out there. The only reason I came back was because at the time I smoked. I needed cigarettes and I wanted some ketchup and some mayonnaise.
Right, yeah.
Greasy critters ain't no good without no condiments, as far as I'm concerned.
I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. Looks like bring up Kathy's question there. Don't, if you're wait, our producer's putting his heads back on. Dave, can you pull up Kathy's last starred comment question? Okay, Kathy wants to know, I would love to know what the eagle stands for.
It's a messenger. For me, I'm just speaking about me and what these medicines mean for me. And particularly, you go to different nations and different tribes, they'll have a slightly different meaning. But eagle is, it brings in messages from the other side, but it has a talent and ability to interpret what that message means to the person. Whereas hawk, it's a messenger, but you don't make an interpretation. You just give it straight as it is. To see clear, see beyond, way out in the distance. But there's a lot of different interpretations for all these animals. There's like 2,000 different Native American nations.
Mhm.
And here's one thing I'll tell people. Like I work with One Dream interpretation book. I use the Mary Summer Rain stuff, her interpretations. But I tell people, stick with one spiritual thing. Find your path. Find what it is and stick with it. And I don't say that because one way's right and one way's wrong. I say it because uh, we're training our higher self and our subconscious how to communicate with us and pass on knowledge to us. If I'm going out here and I'm studying Christianity and Buddhism, and then I'm going to something nobody else has ever heard before, it's like me training my subconscious, my higher self, to speak to me and give me answers in German, English, and Italian. And you know what? I only speak English.
Right.
And here's the thing with our culture we come from. I call it the white culture. We get tired and we don't get answers. We want to go to something else, or if we are getting them to start working with us, and anybody who's been in holistic healing work knows that before things get better, they always get worse. And if things get worse, and you're in all this turmoil and stuff, and you're wiggling around and squirming, we have a tendency to go find another path. Everybody's always hunting for the easier, softer way. And you know what? There is not one.
Mm-mm.
It's just the work. And it's mean and it's nasty. And sometimes it's embarrassing. And, for some people, their egos didn't get as big. And so the work isn't as drastic as it was for you and I, some of the stuff that we've been into and done.
Right.
And, everybody's different.
And it seems like there's a common theme every generation, and especially with the 12-step world: instant gratification.
Yeah.
That's what all people want is, I want it now and I want it my way.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Our generation.
Right. Well, where did that get me? That got me almost dead in ICU and, in a long-term rehab.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a reason why instant gratification.
That got you.
Right. And that
got you right here, sitting here talking to me.
And so, and either that just comes back full circle. It always gets worse before it gets better. And that just kind of hit me like a ton of bricks.
Here's one thing that our talking just brought up a line of thought for me. And this is the difference in how the Native Americans teach and how we teach. We want to throw down a credit card and we want to get what we want right now and pay for it later. Well, spirit stuff doesn't work like that. You do the work and then you get the answers. You do the work, then you get the gifts and the ability to go along with the work you've done. But here's the deal. I noticed that these elders, they did not teach the way that we learn. And it took me a while to realize why. Remember me talking about the psychedelics and the vibration and all that? You raise your vibration, hit this knowledge base. Well, there's certain aspects of all this stuff that I've learned that you can't learn through word of mouth or reading a book. You have to go into the ceremony. You have to do the personal work. And there's a good portion of this that the spirits give to you direct.
Right.
Through you hitting the knowing and having the realizations and the understanding through you doing the work and working with other people. Some of it has to come through a knowledge of just experience with other people. I had a really powerful medicine woman teaching me for a long time, and I didn't have a clue what she was doing or who she was. And then when she died, I saw these people coming in from out Oklahoma, out west, and stuff, and telling me who she really was. And then I got to thinking and realizing she was teaching me about my interactions with other people and how I thought and treated other people, and particularly one of my teachers, Horace, how I was, treating him and looking at him. And what I found out was all this stuff that I was holding towards other people or thinking about other people was actually stopping my conscious contact and my communication with the other side. And she was sort of tricky in how she taught things,
Yeah.
And after she died, then it finally got through to me what a gift I'd been given by just even knowing this lady. And it's unusual for a woman to teach a man anything in these cultures because they kind of keep the sexes a little bit separate and all. but she was hammering me just all the time, and I never even realized it until she was gone.
You think that was her intent, just to let you figure it out when you figure it
Well,
out?
that's how they teach.
Mhm.
They let the ceremony teach you. They get you to the point where you clear things out. It's like Horace used to tell me. It's PJ. You want me to give you a fish? You want me to teach you how to fish? If I give you fish, we're going to eat well today, and then you're going to leave and you're going to starve to death tomorrow.
Yeah.
So you want me to help you develop that conscious contact with the other side, or you want me to go out there and give you the answers, and you hope that I've done enough clearing work to tell you the truth? And a lot of what Basil tried to get through to me was he wanted me to develop this contact. He wanted me to develop this connection to the other side. Because, what am I going to do when they're dead and gone?
Right.
What's
That
what's
makes sense.
each generation? I have to take the people that come along behind me, my kids, and all these other people that come up, to learn things. I have to take them and pick them up and throw them way past me. Otherwise, we're not going to evolve into something greater than what we are now. If I'm always holding something back and I'm not wishing for them to go beyond me, that this world's doomed.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Because
And
we're slide back into what we used to be, not going to where we've been promised we're going.
and and that all goes back to instant gratification somewhat too.
Mhm.
People don't once I swipe this card and I get them pair of shoes or whatever. I don't. All I care about is me, and
Yep.
that's a lot. That's a lot of the problems with and the disconnect between nature and humanity now. Nature wants no part of that. Nature wants you to be a part of everything. Just just like trees use the fungus to talk to each other. They're everything uses everything,
Mhm.
but as humanity is with its instant gratification, it's all me, 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 selfish, 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 and I don't care about teaching anybody anything.
Mhm.
And you're right. That's just gonna, where's that gonna get us?
Well, it's going to be a generation of kids growing up being consumed by the big empty that grows inside of them each and every day. I felt that, but when I was 18, 19 years old, that's why I went after the psychedelics and stuff. I didn't go after the hard drugs like heroin and cocaine that really destroyed people. I was
Mm-hmm.
after it because of the spiritual journey. I was getting knowledge that I was craving deep down in my heart and soul, and I was getting answers. And I was going after this to the point to where I didn't care if it destroyed the relationships I was in or not. I didn't have those kind of teachers, but today I want to become what I didn't have when I was younger. And
Right.
I had that drive to go after this knowledge. I knew it was real. I just didn't know the right way to get it and hold on to it back then.
Right. And I think Kathy just said it really well. Here, let me put that up. Kathy said, then people go bankrupt and it's someone else's fault. It's always someone else's fault. And there's a lot of that until you start realizing that no, damn it, it's your damn fault. Uh, and that's kind of that's where a lot of people just need to realize. How about, and I've noticed it a lot in like the last 10, 20 years. Uh, it's gimme, 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 and you did this to me. And there's a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
And, no, you did it to yourself. And that's, if you can just start there, I did this to me. What, now what? I think that's a very good start. If you want to, what do you think about that?
Well, it's what you and I went in the first day we stepped through the doors of Alcoholics Anonymous. First thing we had to do was admit we're an alcoholic.
Right.
So for most people out there in the world, the first thing they got to admit is what I call myself every day. They got to admit they're a real asshole.
Exactly.
So, and then start from there.
And it really is. Those of you that are watching now and those of you that are going to watch in the future, it really is that simple.
Mhm.
But that's going to be the hardest thing you've ever done. But it's very simple.
That first
You got-
step in
Yeah.
spiritual growth, even.
Tabitha says, men have ruled the world and all we have gotten is war after war. It's important to hear from the feminine and masculine.
And the female and the masculine is in all of us.
Mhm.
Both. And if you want to boil it down to the physical level, it's left and right brain.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we got comments coming. That's when you tap into memories within your DNA blood.
Yeah, it's they call it the blood memory.
Yep. I think I was talking. I might have been talking to you. I can't remember, but somewhere I heard that like the smallest molecule of the atom that makes up the person has more memory in it than your brain. Oh,
Wasn't me.
no, okay. It was somebody that was talking to.
I might agree with that though.
You know, because it's generation after generation, and if you believe in reincarnation or whatever, it's journey after journey after journey.
What I know is there's two types of memory. One is spirit memory, which is held by the other side. Some people call it Akashic records and stuff like that. It's everything you've done as a spirit up until this point. But there's another memory, the blood memory, the DNA memory, and it. Let's see, what is it? Aboriginals in Australia call it the dream time. Okay. Anything that my dad did or my mother did before I was born is in my DNA. Now, after that, it's in my conscious memory. And children, the minute they're born, their subconscious, it misses nothing. That's how the sins of the mother and father are passed on to the children. They don't even have to be present because you're connected at the spirit level with that DNA. So all these illnesses that your parents don't heal up, they pass on to the children in some way, shape, or form. And they'll do this through the subconscious, and they'll do this through the spirit. But that DNA memory, it's in there. But I understand from those Aboriginals, they can go back and relive a moment in their ancestor's life as if they were that ancestor. They experience the taste, the smell, the feeling, the emotions, everything. And it's all inside of us. It's like when the Starborn came to the house and introduced themselves for the first time. Up there, I had this group. They came in, they touched me on my shoulder. And when they did, my body told me who they were. And I felt okay at that point. It was like peace. It was like, okay, I'm okay. I'm not going to be hurt. But it was like my DNA told me that they were friends from like millennia ago, thousands of years ago.
Right.
And I knew that's the first experience that I had with the blood memory of myself was when they came and their DNA spoke to mine.
And that happens a lot more often than people notice or admit that, you know, easy example, if you've ever met somebody and you're like, God, it's like I've known you forever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's more truth to that statement than what people give it. And it happens on a daily basis. You just have to shut up, get out of your own way and listen. Let's see. Robert Thomas said it's quantum physics. Yes, a lot of this is, shamans for centuries and millennia have always talked about how we come from the star people. Mm-hmm. And what is quantum physics starting to prove?
It's starting to prove everything spiritual.
Right.
Almost all of it.
So it's kind of funny how it all comes around. Let's see. Dina says, that's why I don't like embracing the people say I'm an asshole for speaking my mind phase going on. I don't think I must have missed that one out of context, but I kind of get what you're saying.
she might be speaking about her speaking her mind, and other people branding her an asshole for speaking her mind.
Fair. Yeah.
Well,
And,
the men have been running things for so long, and truth be known, we're going to have to balance that out with the female if we're going to awaken. Women need to come back. They need to take their power. You know, I've had two female teachers, you know, during my time with all this. One was Erstar, and one was a lady named Kindawa. And you know, the female aspects of all that had to be brought about. We have to awaken up the male and female in each of us before we can be fully awakened. So we have a male and female side, left and right brain, if you want to break it down to the physical aspects. I mean, times when I've felt that energy come up and I've hit that fully awakened state, I hear that snap inside my head. And then, you know, that's when I hit that fully awakened state. I can't hold it for very long right now.
my father is, yep. You know, and I say this all the time on my podcast. The trees do talk. I mean, and they have a lot to tell you, but they're just not. But you just got to shut up and listen.
You remember me telling you about that guy that he goes out and the plants talk to him, tell him how to prepare it, and stuff, and then he goes home, prepares a plant, and then 2 days later, the person who needs it shows up.
Yep.
Well, everything in the spirit world works backwards from the way we think it should from the physical point of view. And that's one of those examples of it working backwards. We should be so in tune with nature and everything around us that we should be preparing all this stuff before somebody comes along and even has the need. It's like if fully awakened state, what I know about it is that everything I want, everything I need, it's going to be there for me before I even get there, before I even know I need it. My dad used to tell me, he said, time is how we measure our imperfection. Because if we were in our perfect state, everything we need would be there before we even needed it.
And I mean, and it's true. And I always say about time is time is nothing but an agreed upon illusion.
It's an illusion.
Yeah. You know, you go to the top of the mountain, the time is going to move different than if you're at the ocean. And that's the true presence of time. Time is not, it's, 3:05 and then, 100 miles down the road, it's 2:05. That's not how time is, merely an illusion. And, people, like you said, people that have taken psychedelics and stuff, if you take a psychedelic and you look and it's 10 o'clock at night and then 2 minutes later, it's 3 o'clock in the morning.
Well, when we go to lodge, some of these lodges, you go in, you think you've only been in there 15 minutes and you've been in there 4 hours.
Yes.
And then I've been in there, it felt like 4 hours and we were only in there 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Before my dad died, he told me, he said, you need to be careful. I said, why? He said, one of these days you're going to open the flap and go outside and you're not going to be where you started.
It's kind of frightening to think.
Well, just about everything he told me before he died's come true. I'm waiting on a few things. Like this screen you're looking at,
mm-hmm.
The flat screen right here.
Yep.
He told me, back in the 70s, we're going to have TVs you can hang on the wall like a picture, be no thicker than that. And he always looked at the Dick Tracy watch. He said, I'll never live to see the Dick Tracy watch, but you will. And now we have a watch where I can talk to you
right
on the watch like a telephone. Yeah, a lot of this saw and stuff he told me about, and sure enough, they're here.
I mean, you can even start your car with the watch. It's it's there. Yeah, it's crazy. But here's my thing about technology. We have the total sum of all human knowledge at our fingertips. And yet, how do we use it? I mean, is technology truly a good thing?
Okay, you have look at the two webs that we have out there right now. We have one which is the web, the internet, and we have another web which very few people know how to use, and that's the spirit web. of knowledge. One web, there's lies, deceptions, half truths. You can get ripped off and stolen from. But if you'll do the personal work to develop what's inside of you and develop conscious contact, nobody can lie to you. Nobody can deceive you. Nobody can steal from you unless you allow them to do it. So anything we can do with technology, we're finding out that we can do with the power of our body and the power of our spirit. Like the work that you go and do with the ghost busting or the detecting stuff that you all go do.
Yep.
Well, I go out and do that without the gadgetry, without the machines. And I take a crew of people with me when I go do something like that, and we sit there and we talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're going out and you're doing it with the machineries and the gadgetry and stuff.
Right.
But anything that we can do that way, basically one way our ego is saying you can do it with this.
Right.
And then our spirit's trying to say, well, if you'll do the work and you'll clean up things and do it the way we want you to, you can have all this power inside of yourself without the gadgetry, without being a slave to it, without having to upkeep it or anything else. These are the gifts that Spirit's trying to give us freely.
And that's the big thing. It's free. That's why I always say, if people need me, I don't charge a dime to try to help you with what knowledge that I've gained. Because
I want to tell you something. What you just now said, you told me that once before, and that's the only reason I'm sitting here with you right now. Is because you said you did what you did for free, same as I do.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. Why? How can I charge for something that is freely given to me? All I have to do is put in work.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's. I'm not saying that some people out there that do this and charge a little bit here and there is not a bad person or whatever, but kind of makes you always think. Why are they trying to make a living off of my pain and suffering? And there's a lot of that out there in this paranormal world. I can't. My spirits and my grandfather would come out of his grave and beat me to death if I took $1.
Well, now people can come up and they can split wood or bring herbs, do stuff, bring tarps and blankets up there and stuff like that, where I'm at. Mm-hmm. That's okay. I'm getting older. There's a lot of the wood splitting stuff I can't do anymore like I used to, but I've done my time,
Yep.
And stuff. And I'll keep doing this as long as I can until I'm dead and gone, or I just can't handle it anymore. So, and I want to leave a big bloody pus oozing gash across the face of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
I want people to go through their stuff, because I know when they go through that pain and the suffering and the healing, I know what's on the other side for them. I know that peace and that happiness that they're going to have that they never felt since they were a child, even if they felt it then. But to get that cost us.
Well, and I try to tell people, everybody says that I that meet me, they say that I seem like I'm such at peace and I'm happy and I'm pleasant, and I'm like, I was not always this guy. This, you got to work for it. You have to blood, sweat, tears, cry, scream, whatever, to get to the point of happiness. And mm-hmm. That's where a lot of people stop short. They don't want to feel that pain. They want, and again, instant gratification comes back into it. They want it. They want it now. Damn it!
But all they're doing is just they're dragging their pain out and they're adding to it. I ran into somebody a while back that I was going to try to do this work with up on the mountain stuff, and this person had a choice. They had a lot of karmic debt to work off because of how they lived their life and stuff, and they had a choice when they came to my place, and the choice was pain and suffering to work off that karmic debt, or having a wonderful time being of service to others to work off that karmic debt.
Right.
And they chose the pain and the suffering.
And it really is just that simple. It's that simple of a choice.
Yeah, it's that simple.
Yeah. Oh. But it's the way that we've been indoctrinated into the status quo that is reality that makes it so hard for people to just realize. How about just enjoy it? Just do it. You know, it's got to be done. Might as well enjoy it while you're doing it. And then eventually it turns into the reason why you do things. But
I love crying and screaming.
I used to hate it. But
About every
I
2 weeks,
do.
I hear a lot of it, and you've been sitting in there when it happened.
Yep. But there's a reason why, like, a good, just sobbing, ugly cry is so cleansing to the soul. Because we're made that way. See, Charity said, meditation really is a wonderful tool. It allows us to tap into our inner divine, quiet the mind, and your spirits can work to teach you. Personal work is of the utmost importance. Very well said. Don says, my dad calls that quiet walkers and earning your passage in Lakota Sioux tradition. It's all true. You got to pay your dues, people. God, I don't know if it frustrates you like it does me, but the people I love, when I'm just trying to tell them how easy it is to get the joy that I feel on a daily basis, and they can't get past their self to just see exactly how easy it is. People are like, you made me feel this way, or this, that. No, I didn't make you feel it anyway. It's your feelings. It's the way that you're doing it, and you're in control. And the biggest thing that I've run into is people can't grasp the fact that they're in control of themselves. And that hurts me, because it took me a while too to get there. But I control me. I control.
We're in a school. This earth, it's a whole big school. We're here to learn what does not work.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like they opened my heart up one time, and I felt what love really is. But through that experience, I learned one thing: I cannot describe it to you. I can't tell you what it is. It was so pure and it was so strong. There's no words for it, and it has no opposite. And then when they shut that heart chakra back down in me and stuff, I knew what it was from then on, but I can't share that with anybody. And what I came to realize is most of us are practicing what love is not. We're learning the hard way what love is not.
That's true. And let's see, Robert says selflessness. Yes. But yeah, we are learning what love is not. And but the flip side of the coin is really just that close. How about we learn what love really truly is?
Well, love has no opposite.
Yeah. It's
just a power and an energy all of its own, and it's free and it's abundant and it's everywhere. We just don't see
it. Like, okay, and I've tried to tell people, like, the trees love you, and they look at me and they're, so I explain. If you look at it as if that tree over there grew those leaves because it knew that I needed to get out of the sun.
And I got a story about a tree. There's one place I used to go to near McMinnville, Tennessee, and we'd stop there before we'd make our trip to Sundance. Guy's house, and this lady came along and told him, said, "Oh, this tree here you got in your backyard is full of evil. You need to dig it up and get rid of it." And I love this tree. I camped out underneath it and stuff like that. And he went out there and cut that tree down, drug it off and burned it, and then even got a big machine, dug up its roots to make sure he got all of that out. And I got there and heard the story and stuff like that, and I sat there and thought about it for a minute. And what I was told was, yeah, that tree was full of evil because it was gathering up all the evil that you're creating around here. and it was taking it and it was grounding it out for you so you could do your work here.
Mm-hmm.
That was a lovely, beautiful tree. I loved it. I would, every time I was there, I would walk out and I would hug it and sit under it. And down in Manville, during summer Sundance season, it's really hot down there. And that tree was a joy to, set a tent up underneath and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
But there was two ways to see that. Yeah, the tree was full of evil, but it was an illusion. Evil was the illusion that we were created, and that tree was taking it and it was dispelling it and putting it in the ground. It's like you're in the lodge and you're letting go of stuff. I'll tell people, grab those willows. I said,
yes.
Over top of you, discharge all that energy that's in you, and let those willows and the Mother Earth take that crap that comes out of you and turn it into fertilizer. It's that lodge is designed in a certain way to where you can let go of stuff and not hurt anybody else. And
Yeah, I've had to grab those branches.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it works. And I do that a lot. Like if I'm so super frustrated or I've got anxiety or whatever, like there's this one tree right outside of where I live, and I always walk up to it and touch it. And instantly, like my anxiety goes away. It's kind of like the trees saying, "Come here, I'll take it because I'm strong enough." So people just need to get out there and listen. So now, okay, Carol says, so now there is nothing there to help stop evil. Evil got its way. Talking about the tree. Kind of sounds that way.
Here's the thing about my vision in my book. Good and evil, as long as we're in duality consciousness, we're creating both those illusions. Okay? War and peace, good and evil, all it is a reflection of what's inside of us. The mystics will tell you, as inside, so also outside. What that means is that we have no choice but to create in the outside world the true reflection of who and what we really are. As you start to awaken, as you start to get rid of all this stuff in here, all these illusions will start to disappear, and you'll realize that. Well, I'll just tell you right now, there really is no good and evil.
Mm-hmm.
It's all something that we create inside of ourselves, so we can see how to heal ourselves. It's just a reflection of what we refuse to deal with inside of ourselves. That's why I tell people when they come up to the mountain, I say, you want to heal the earth, you want to end all war, you want to end good and evil, there's only one place to start, and that's inside yourself first.
Yep.
Because you have no choice but to create your own true reflection.
I've told people, like an example of their nothing is inherently good or bad. I take divorce. Everybody hates divorce. Is divorce in itself bad? No, it's just a thing. People make a divorce either good or bad.
And the drama conflict is about your hurt feelings and the stuff you don't want to deal with or grow past and stuff. And, my ex-wife, when we split up, she did work with me there for years, and I think we split up in a good way, as decently as possible. Yeah, right. If she needs anything, I'll be there for her. If she's really in dire straits, she's going on with her life and I'm going off with mine. But all that drama and conflict and turmoil, it wasn't there like it was with other people.
Right. Let's see. Don says, good and evil are man-made, only to rationalize events and consequences of those events. Oh, it's very true. Very true indeed.
Thank you, Don.
Mm-hmm. He's a pretty smart fella. Don't tell him I said that.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we are kind of coming to the last roughly 15 minutes. So I do, one last time. If you have not entered for the giveaway at the end of the show, please put in #peace in the comments, #peace. And I just decided that I'm going to add one more thing to this giveaway. To the winner tonight, I will send you a copy of Gray Eyes' book. I think it needs to be out there. So I will add that to the Sage and Palo Santo bundle that I felt the need to send out. I will get you a copy of his book. And if you want an autograph, let me know, because I'll go up the mountain and see if I can convince the gentleman to sign it for you.
You can only get used books right now. Because I gave away like 10,000 of them. I think where you came through first,
Mm-hmm.
I think I've given away about 100 of them down there.
Oh, I think I can get another copy of where the same place where I got my copy. Yeah, it was a little online used bookstore.
I gave away one to somebody, and then they let it go, and it made a trip around, and now it's back on the mountain again. Somebody else that lives on the mountain where I do had ordered it and brought it back.
Well, the funny thing about this book is, and I'm not going to show it, but your phone number is in this book.
Yeah.
So who? Yeah.
It's somebody I knew when I gave it to him. It's probably somebody down at first. I don't know.
I don't know. I ordered it offline, and then here it comes with.
Hey, on the back the back of it, the
Yep.
thin part.
Yep.
Right there. Has it got the something that looks like the yin and yang symbol on it, but it's not on the back and not on the front, but on that band in the thin part. Yeah, right there. Yeah. Has it got like a yin and yang symbol on it down there? That's not really one.
I've got there's this little barcode right here. So
okay, that's one of the first ones.
Oh, well.
Well, see this?
Yes.
Well, that's the non-duality symbol. It's bringing those two halves back together. And what happens when you change how you think? All these things out there that used to oppose each other, they start to complement each other and help each other. And one example of that, of going from duality to non-duality, look at creationism and evolution.
Mm-hmm.
When we can see that evolution might have been a tool of the creator, and the creator's day was 1,000 years, then both the scientists and the religious people are both correct. Instead of opposing each other, they complement each other. They're coming back together. I was having a real hard time one morning, and I was thinking about, has my message gotten out there? Is it starting to take hold? And it's not just my message. It was this same idea of non-duality consciousness is coming through many people. And I went out and I got in my truck, and all my radio stations are always on rock and roll stations or something like that. Well, I got in the truck that morning, and it was on a country music station. And there was this song playing. And it was a song called Undivided. I think it's by Tim McGraw. And listen to that sometime. And that's talking about the coming back together, undivided. It's like when all these opposing forces start coming back together, when we as people start to see the commonality and start working as one, that's a reflection that we're actually doing the healing work on the inside of ourselves that we need to do. If we want peace, we're going to have to do.
Yes, that's the only way. And unfortunately, at least in my thought process, it's going to take a long time before enough people want to do the hard work to get to where we need to be.
Well, we're in the birth pains of that new world now. Giving birth is painful, and the difference between us and them, that line between us and them, the duality, it has to get broader and broader and more intense so that we can get a belly full, so we can get really sick of it. And you're seeing it out there now in the political systems and with the medical people. Everybody's throwing it all up there, and it's like, okay, which side of the line are you on? You're a Democrat, Republican, you're a vaxxer, a non-vaxxer. You for this person, you're against that person. And if you want to sit on the fence, more than likely somebody's going to push you off the fence on one side or the other. And it's just part of what we got to go through right now to awaken. So yeah, I'm smiling. I think we're doing just fine.
I agree. So we're coming up towards the end. Let's run that giveaway. Hit that button there, Don. Let's see who's going to get the bundle. I like this cool little thing. They just started doing this. I enjoy giving back. Tracy, you have won. I'm putting together, if you haven't heard, a Sage bundle, a Palo Santo, and I will be sending you a copy of Gray Eye's book. I talk to you on a regular basis anyway, so just get me your address so I can send that to you. Let's see. Greg says, thanks once again for a very informative show. Loves and hugs. Thank you. I think Carol, there's a lady here, Gray Eyes, that always helps me end my show. And there it is. Carol always says, remember to smile. She puts me in my place. I like it. And there's a saying that I always say to end my show. And it's something I kind of came up with, and it kind of resonates. And I always say, and tell my viewers, it's not about surviving the storm, but it's how you dance in the rain. So I want to thank you so much for being my guest and coming on the show. I know you don't do this very often, so I'm very honored and humbled. And is there anything that we left out that you would like to cover at the end here?
Nope.
Well, I like it.
Good time.
I had a wonderful time, and I guess I took the hint. I'll be up there splitting wood. I got it. I got the hint. So I'll come up and help that wood because you're gonna need it. It's getting cold.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know. I see it coming. That's okay. We got to do it. Again, thank you so much. And
thank you for having me on.
Yes, sir. And tune in next Sunday where I think my guest is Brandy Marie from 28 Days Haunted. Psychic medium Brandy Marie. Good night. God bless. And see you guys next week.
Later.
Oh, yeah,